I think one of the most interesting things that people do from throughout philosophy to throughout history is search for grand narrative, searching for overarching things, one thing that you can blame. Oftentimes this will be in forms of people scapegoating a whole group, or maybe they're just looking of like, oh, how does the world work? People's perspectives are typically informed by one singular thing going, this is what I think governs everything. This is how I think this works, right? And largely, I think that this is in vain. Not largely, I think that throughout history, actually, it's always been in vain. If you go back and read any account of somebody trying to figure out one singular way things work, usually nowadays we look at that and go, that's wrong, that's wrong. And I think the modern day is probably the most accepted place of we understand things are too crazy, too all over the place for it to ever just be one singular thing. This doesn't stop people from still trying to do it, but I think that understanding is more there now than ever. That aside, I was thinking about this topic recently. I was thinking okay, what if I set that aside for a second? What if, not in terms of some grand historical narrative, but just in terms of my own life, is there something that actually does work all the time? Is there something that I can point to and go, this has never once failed me. This idea, this theory, this way of doing things has 100% hit rate in my life. 100% of the time it has worked and it was the right thing to do. The answer is no, obviously, that I could not come up with one singular thing that is 100% of the time the correct way to go, the correct thing to do. However, with that no comes a very important little caveat that we're going to discuss here today of delayed gratification. Because as much as there is not one singular thing that has never failed me in my entire life and always proven to be true, delayed gratification is the thing that has probably the highest hit rate. It's always about right. It's always the closest to doing me well. And I think that's what I want to discuss here today, but not so much just delayed gratification. I actually think this is sort of related to two other ideas. Delayed gratification, to me, is not so much going to serve you right because it delays the gratification, as many people will say, right? I think it's a huge thing nowadays to kind of overhype, if I say, delayed gratification and be this is the answer to all your problems because it, delays the dopamine or whatever they say. I don't think that's why. I think actually that's probably one of the worst parts about it. I think always trying to delay the gratification just for the sake of having a delayed dopamine hit is not a good thing. However, I do think it's good because it's about a long-term goal, right? I don't think that we should treat delayed gratification as a form of productivity or sort of this modern aestheticism that we talk about it as, but more so as a form of manifestation, right? Because every time that you do something for the future self, whether it's going to the gym and, today, right before this, I had a salad. That's a lie. I didn't have a salad. But I had a couple veggies, right? And I was I'm gonna have those couple veggies instead of having burger because that's healthier, right? And obviously it'd feel great to have burger. It'd feel way better to have the burger and to be whatever, who cares, right? Wouldn't hurt anybody, but it's a purpose of a larger goal further down the road, right? And the reason I say it's a type of manifestation is because, one, it is a direct action towards one thing, right? To call this only manifestation would be wrong. It's not just manifestation, but it comes with it a type of manifestation because I think knowing that you made that decision, knowing that you were I did this thing because it'll help me down the road, makes you gear a lot more of your things towards what's going to help you down the road, right? Going back to the example of this in health, which I kind of hate that I'm using because I'm not that healthy of a person, not as healthy as I could be at least, but I think it's a very direct example of this. You see this in a lot of ways, in terms of, let's say you go on a run in the morning. You do that because you're this is a delayed gratifications example of something that's going to be kind of annoying now, kind of, I'm going to be tired, I'm going to be all huffing and whatever, but in the future it'll be good towards my body when I'm, fit and stuff. And then maybe because of that run that you did, it shifts your mindset for the day. Now you're going to make healthier decisions throughout the day. Not because you're thinking about it 24/7, but just because you already have that little thing of well, I went on a run this morning, I don't want to waste that, right? And I think that this can be seen in many things, right? Let's say that you do a thing of delayed gratification of instead of going to a big school to do something, you decide to stay behind, go to maybe a little bit of a worse school, even though people won't think you're as cool for it, and work on like a business or something, right? I think this is a example that's far too in line with the way many people treat delayed gratification, but nonetheless, I think it does apply. Let's say you do that, right? That will then influence all your other decisions, right? You will not have any safety cushion. You will be thinking of everything in terms of like, I need to make this thing work, right? And manifestation works in a very similar way. And I want to make it clear here, I'm talking about manifestation in its most practical way. I think people often think of manifestation like, I'm going to write 100 things down and like put it under my pillow. No, manifestation is when you think about something so much that you focus on the things that will help you get to that goal, right? Manifestation, as much as many people want to shit on it, is a very practical thing. It's probably the most practical thing, actually. I would say far more practical than any productivity hack or anything like that. Manifestation works as a great way to very directly be thinking about your goals and accomplishing them, right? However, I want to put these two ideas together. I want to say that these are one and the same, right? Manifestation and delayed gratification will not be one and the same. When operating this way, their overlap makes them become one thing, right? And what I was trying to think of that one thing is, right? Because like, if we want to make a little chart, we have the manifestation here, we have the delayed gratification here. In the middle would be that thing, that overlap in which the delayed gratification becomes the manifestation and the manifestation becomes the delayed gratification, right? Clearly, this is a little bit of a unique thing, but what is it? And I was trying to think of that because I was like, this is like a little bit of a third thing that's a little out there. And I think what I am treating it as in my mind is a sort of faith, right? A sort of faith, not in terms of the fact that you pray to your own productivity at night, even though I think some people probably do out there. Faith very much in terms of delivering yourself or giving yourself to something larger than you, to a goal, to an idea, to a thing that you will treat as bigger than yourself and give up things for this thing, whatever it may be. And I do feel that that's exactly what it is, and a little while ago, we did an episode talking about art as a form of worship, and I thought there was a big element to that missing. Like, there was a certain something I really didn't like there, because I felt that, like, as much as I agreed with many of the things I was saying there, like, I think it was something of a productive conversation, I also thought, like, there's a huge thing missing here of a very practical sense in which art is a spirituality, art is a faith. And this is what I believe it is, the idea of doing something, working on art, right? Art is inherently a long-term project. If you are sketching, if you are writing, if you're trying to make a movie, there's nothing that you can do that's like, this is going to be done in the next hour and it's gonna be really cool in the next hour. Like, the closest thing to that is like the TikToks where it's like, draw this thing with me. It's like, draw a cone, draw a little dot on the cone, draw some hash lines on the cone, and now you have a thing. They're like, you have something that you just drew. That's the closest thing to like fast food art, right? And I don't think many people are drawing that being like, man, I am Picasso. Art is inherently a long-term project, and I think because of that, when looking at this overlap between delayed gratification and manifestation, that is the overlap, I believe, where we can see art becomes a type of faith. Because you are doing something that will not pay off right then and there. It will pay off later, and you are doing it for yourself in a lot of ways, right? Like you when you make art are the long-term project. Somebody who makes art all the time is going to develop through their art in like a crazy way. Like, to people who like are into self-help and stuff like that, I always think like, if they could create art, they could see just how much more they could develop through something like that, right? Painting, drawing, writing. You find yourself so much more in these things than any productivity routine could ever have you find yourself. That's something I truly believe, and that's a hill I will die on. I believe that vehemently, right? And I think that through this, that is where we can see art become a long-term project. You are doing the delayed gratification of investing in your art, investing in your craft, investing in yourself. And while doing that, while taking part in that process, you are manifesting this other thing, right? Whether that be a great painting, whether that be a great future thing you want to make, it could be a movie, it could be a masterpiece painting, whatever that might be, you are manifesting, you are adding to that. And I think in that way, that is the true way art becomes faith. That is what I truly believe. So yeah, that's my take, I guess. I don't know. I want to say, guys, for this episode, I feel like I might have sounded insane. Like, I feel like this is the episode, the whole episode. Maybe you could see my face, maybe you couldn't. I was like, maybe I should stop talking because I think I sound like one of those guys who's on the side of the street rambling. But at the same time, I completely agree with everything I said. I just feel like it sounds like this like new wave like spirituality that I don't know. I felt like I sounded insane. So my apologies if I did. If you were watching this, like, okay, 237 days in, he's clearly gone off the deep end. Respect. Hopefully come back tomorrow. I promise I'll be a little more grounded than this. But I don't know. I think those were some thoughts I had that kind of tied up another topic we did, and I really wanted to get them out. Once again, kind of a vague topic, but I don't know. Delayed gratification, manifestation, and faith are like things I think that we can all relate to in some way because they're present in our lives, but they're abstract too. So I don't know, I'm done rambling for the day. This is the painting. I really like this. I think it exists in sort of an interesting way. I don't know why I said that. That was the wrong words I was using. It feels surreal almost to me. Like it exists in like, it kind of does what I liked what yesterday's painting did, where it's like, this is clearly something, like it's some sort of sphere, you can see the background, like it's clearly has depth and strokes and all that, like there's something there, but you don't really know what you're looking at. And I kind of like that quality of a painting. It doesn't even, it almost feels like an uncanny valley of like something surrealist. And I feel like experimenting with form through that is really interesting to me. So I like this painting a lot. Go check this out over the Instagram. And until next time, guys, gals, and pals, my name is Max Dice. This has been Paint Talk episode 237. I'm here every morning, painting and talking with you all.